So this is a hand you played at Unibet Open London High Roller, which happened a couple of weeks back.
Yeah, it was a crazy bluff. I ran in the high roller versus Ivan Luka. It's a bluff I probably wouldn't run again. I'm not a bluff I would run in many spots, but in that particular spot, I felt that the dynamics were just right for me to maybe get away with it. But we can discuss the specifics as the hand unfolds.
So it pretty much hand starts the way that Ivan Luka from Hijack decides to limp, and he's 23 big blinds affected, or his stack is 23 big blinds. You are 11 big blinds on the big blind. And what are the biggest stacks? What are the stack dynamics anyway?
Yeah, so there's basically a big stack who has like 40 bigs, who has folded before Ivan, then Ivan limps, and then there are like 3 relatively equal, like 20 to 25 big blind stacks behind Ivan, from cutoff to Ivan was cutoff, so from cutoff to the small blind, Ivan was on the hijack. And then there's me on the big blind with like 10 bigs or something. And all the 3 stacks that were behind Ivan were all like aggressive regulars who were, I think, at least somewhat ICM aware and capable of re-stealing wide in that spot. So I think it's basically a spot where it makes a lot of sense for Ivan to limp his entire range. I think there are basically 2 options in which you can construct your ranges there. Either you can A, limp your entire range, or B, you can have 2 ranges where you have like a raise fold range and a raise call range. And also a limping range, because I think that like limping some hands in that spot is definitely good.
So it's, as you see, you have to make a lot of assumptions.
For sure,
right now.
for sure.
So that's definitely a troubling thing here.
Yeah, we'll get to that later on as we actually look at my bluff. But basically, what I thought in game about Ivan's range in this spot was that I assumed that he was limping his entire range, which will include all of his traps, maybe down to queens. Not sure about queens. He could just like raise or something. I guess he could limp queens. And then like all of the suited aces and the suited broadways, for example, maybe down to 9-8, also like Jack 10, and also hands like King Jack off, King Queen off, stuff like that.
So there, the flop comes Queen Jack 9 Rainbow. You do have a backdoor flush draw, a gut shot straight door here, with pretty good blockers to the nuts here. You're blocking the 10-8, which I'm guessing you don't think he limps that much anyway. 10-8 suited, and you also block the King 10 suited there. Yeah,
so basically in this spot, obviously it's a board that's way better for his range. His limping range includes a lot of those suited broadways, whereas my checkback range doesn't have the strongest broadways because I jam those pre, and I have a lot of just like weak trash that I check back. But in general, I also think it's a spot where there aren't really that many supernatural bluffs that you could raise to a small sizing, which is what I decided to use here. And another thing that sort of maybe advocates for a small sizing would be that I have pretty much all the nut combos in this spot, all the combos of King 10 and all the combos of 10-8, whereas he probably only has to come like 3 combos of King 10 suited because I blocked one of the kings. So it's definitely a spot where I can have some hands that could be credibly raising. But basically what we're trying to make him fold in this spot, when we assume that he's limping his entire range, is all the suited aces that I assume he would be c-betting to this sizing. And I also thought that his sizing in game, like he bet 21k into 73k in a spot where I have a lot of like...
50k actually. Spot was 50k.
Yeah, 50k. Okay, so...
40%.
So anyways, like he bets under half pot anyway, which is quite weak, I would say. Given that I have like a lot of random 10x that are pretty much now getting the correct price to call. It is a spot where I expected, perhaps wrongly, for his range not to be perhaps less strong, a little less strong than average. Him in particular having a lot of those suited aces that I could fold out. And yeah, maybe even like him, let's say, betting hands like King Jack on the flop, maybe calling my small raise, but then folding to a turn shove. The plan was to shove, obviously, when the turn comes to diamond or when I improve on the turn to a straight. So, yeah, I mean, I guess in this spot, the bluff, given that I give myself a really good price, is probably good when he gets into this spot with all of his suited aces. And also I have been playing super tight the entire day, so I expected me to give him a lot of credit in a spot where I don't have that many natural bluffs to that sizing, and I have all the nut combos, as I already said. But the problem with this bluff could be twofold. The first problem could be that he might decide to raise his suited aces and put those in the raise fold range, which means that there aren't going to be that many hands left in the range that I'm actually going to be able to fold out. And the second problem might be that he might not be, he might get like attached to hands like, I don't know. I mean, I guess when he has like a pair and open ender, he's always going to get it in, and a lot of his hands do have a 10. And even when he has a pair in the gutter, not sure what he's going to do with that.
Probably the only pair and straight draw he bets is like queen 10, probably. Like open enders one. I'm guessing at least 10-9 suited, check 10 suited. If he limps, he's going to check it on the flop fairly often as well, I think.
Yeah.
At least I assume him to do that.
Yeah, I would figure that as well. So yeah, I mean, if he checks back a lot of the like second pair plus open enders, then I guess the bluff probably becomes better if he has all the suited aces in his range, because his betting range is going to be actually somewhat weak when he bets all of those. But yeah, I mean, I guess we had way more fold equity in the spot than we actually thought, which sort of lends some credibility to my assumptions of this bluff looking extremely strong, given how I was perceived at the final table.
Interesting to see what Ivan does. Been in the tank for a minute now.
Oh
my God!
Everyone's super
Jesus,
surprised about
Estonian Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, like, when we look at the hand from Ivan's perspective, in case, let's take the assumption, for example, that I was wrong and he doesn't have the suited aces in his range, then I think aces is probably actually one of the worst hands he can have in that spot. So I think it makes more sense to fold that than to fold, for example, king queen, because king queen has better blockers to my straights, and also kings would be a call before aces because that has better blockers to my nuts as well. Also pretty much everything that has a 10-minute might be better as well when I have bluffs in the spot. So yeah, I mean, I think folding aces from his perspective is actually a pretty cool play versus the population.
Well, thanks for your insight.
Wow!
Oh my
Whoa.
God!
Jesus! Wow, that is...
I'm a little bit confused.
Yeah, so am I.
It's okay.
This was the first hand history, and guys, we really appreciate all the comments and all the feedback. Got so much from David's Twitch stream chat as well. So for the next episode, we hope we can provide you with all the updates you wanted. See what happens in the next episode. Woo-hoo! Too much hype. See you soon, lads.